Before auto-tune, before streaming, before any algorithm decided what you were allowed to hear, there were 10 albums. One was called The Worst Record Ever Made, by the man who owned the label.
Mother.
His artist went on strike. Someone slipped it out anyway. 100,000 copies, 1 week. These aren't just albums, these are war stories. This is the top 10 most influential R&B albums of the 70s and 80s. And number 1 will change how you hear music, forever. Album number 10, Rick James, Street Songs, 1981. It is 1981. Disco is dead. Rock is king.
She's a very kinky girl.
And black artists are being locked out of MTV, a brand new cable network quietly rewriting who gets to be a star.
She's never hard to please. Oh no.
Into that storm walks one man, braided hair, glitter vest, attitude for days. His name, Rick James.
I really love you.
Rick had been grinding for over a decade. He fled the Navy as a teenager, landed in Toronto, and started a band called the Minna Birds.
Everybody sang. Super freak.
Where Neil Young was a member. Fame kept slipping away. But after signing with Motown in 1978, he finally had a platform.
Super freak. She's super freaking out.
By 1981, though, he was under pressure. His last record was too soft, too polished. So Rick James locked himself in the record plant studio in Sausalito, California. They put a bed in the room so he wouldn't have to leave. He told his team he needed to make a street album, something raw, something real. And then came Super Freak, the song he almost threw away. He called it a joke. Now said he wrote it so white people would have something to dance to.
When I get there, she's got incense, wine, and candles.
He improvised the lyrics and brought in the Temptations to sing backup, including his own uncle, Melvin Franklin.
Yeah.
That moment on the record where Rick shouts, "Temptations, sing." That was live in the moment, calling his family to the mic.
She's all right. That girl's all right.
MTV rejected the video. Rick James publicly accused them of racism. History proved him right, but the streets didn't need MTV.
Once you get her off the street. Blow.
New Street Songs spent 20 weeks at number 1 on the R&B chart. And a decade later, MC Hammer sampled that bass line for "You Can't Touch This," earning Rick his only Grammy. He almost threw it away. Instead, he made one of the most sampled songs in history. Album number 9, A.L. Green, Let's Stay Together, 1972. Memphis, Tennessee, 1971.
I'm so in love with you. Come on, help me sing.
A young man walks into a broken-down studio called Royal Recording. The producer behind the board is a trumpet player turned genius named Willie Mitchell. The young man, Al Green, has one hit to his name and a voice he hasn't figured out yet.
You make me feel so brand new.
At that point, Al was trying to sing like Otis Redding, like Wilson Pickett. Going and swinging, trying to blow the roof off. And Willie Mitchell kept stopping him, telling him, "Don't handle the song, Al. Just let it ooze out." They worked on the title track for close to 100 hours, over and over, take after take.
Why do people break up?
Green wrote the lyrics in 15 minutes, but getting the delivery right took everything. The breakthrough came from a single microphone. Mitchell had been numbering his mics during sessions. When he plugged in microphone number 9 and heard Al sing through it, he later told The New Yorker, "I said, oh my God, and this is the real thing."
I just ain't a sea.
He never used another mic on Al Green again. They pressed 500,000 copies. By Monday, it was out. By Thursday, it had gone gold. Let's Stay Together hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. 9 straight weeks at the top of the R&B chart. The number 1 R&B song of the entire year. Then in 1974, tragedy struck. A former girlfriend attacked Al at his home and took her own life. It shattered him. By 1976, so he was ordained as a pastor in Memphis and walked away from secular music almost entirely. The man with the most seductive voice in soul music chose God over the charts. And somehow, that makes the song hit even harder. Album number 8, Janet Jackson, Control, 1986. 1985. Janet Jackson is 19 years old, the youngest child of the most famous musical family on the planet. 2 albums out, both went nowhere, and her father, the famously controlling Joe Jackson, is still running her career. But Janet is done. She fires her father, signs with a new manager, and gets introduced to 2 producers from Minneapolis, former members of Prince's band The Time, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Now, Joe Jackson wanted the sessions in Los Angeles, where he could watch, where he could interfere. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis told the label flat out, "She comes to us alone on our turf. No bodyguards, none of Joe's people." Janet packed a bag, flew to Minneapolis, alone. For the first time in her life, she was free. The producers spent a full week just listening to her, who she was, what she'd been through. She opened up about her annulled marriage to singer James DeBarge, one about being invisible inside her own family. One word kept coming up: control. It became the entire album.
No, my first name ain't Baby. It's Janet. Miss Jackson.
One night in Minneapolis, Janet walked out of her hotel and was harassed by a group of men on the street, threatening, aggressive. She didn't run. She faced them down. That's how songs like Nasty were born, she later said, out of self-defense. When she went in to record it, Jimmy Jam told her to drop her voice an octave lower. She thought it sounded weird. But the next day, she heard the playback, and the look on her face said everything. Control launched 5 top 5 singles. 14 million copies sold worldwide.
Who's moving to my nasty groove, y'all?
Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis won Producer of the Year at the Grammys, and Janet Jackson, the girl who was never allowed to make her own choices, became one of the most powerful women in music history.
Who's that eating that nasty food?
Album number 7, Curtis Mayfield, Superfly, 1972. The summer of 1972. A film crew is shooting on the streets of Harlem. The movie, Superfly, follows a cocaine dealer who wants out of the game.
Such very, very funny ways.
Raw, real, controversial. And the director needs music that can tell the truth. He calls Curtis Mayfield.
If you can remember the story at all, remember Freddie's dead.
Mayfield had spent the 60s as the moral conscience of soul music. With the Impressions, He wrote civil rights anthems, songs that marched with protesters, songs that played at funerals. So when Hollywood came calling to score a blaxploitation film, he was cautious. But he found his angle in the gap between the movie and the truth. See, the film Superfly glorified the drug dealer, made the hustle look cool. Mayfield's music did the opposite. While the film celebrated the life, the soundtrack mourned the victims. He grew up in the Cabrini Green housing projects in Chicago. He knew this world personally. Freddie's Dead tells the story of a young man swallowed by the drug trade, used, abused, and murdered. And nobody even blinks. Because another Freddie is already waiting to take his place. The single dropped before the film. Audiences were walking into theaters, already humming the music, already knowing the message. Superfly briefly knocked The Godfather from the #1 spot at the box office. The soundtrack reached #1 on both the R&B and pop charts. Now, at the Grammys, Mayfield was nominated for Best Score. He lost to The Godfather, but the hip-hop producers who came after him did the honors. Biggie sampled it, Eminem sampled it, Beyoncé sampled it. A soundtrack for a movie became the score for an entire generation.
But sometimes I must confess, we can deal with rockets.
Listen, 90% of you watching right now aren't subscribed yet. If these stories are blowing your mind, imagine what you're missing. Hit subscribe, turn on that bell, and join the 200,000 R&B fans who never miss a Groove Lens upload.
Album number 6, Prince and the Revolution, Purple Rain, 1984. February 28th, 1984. Prince is sitting at the Grammy Awards, watching Michael Jackson walk away with award after award. Prince had been nominated. He lost both categories. 2 days later, still burning, he walked into Sunset Sound Studio in Los Angeles. Sat at a drum machine, programmed a beat, added keyboards, then bass, then guitar, then vocals. Then he reached over and muted the bass track. Silence where the bass should be. In 1984, now in a music landscape built on bass. Nobody would have the balls to do this, he told his engineer. People are going to freak. He was right on both counts. When Doves Cry had no bass line, and it became the biggest single of the entire year, #1 on the pop, R&B, and dance charts simultaneously. But the full story of Purple Rain goes deeper. Prince had been building a semi-autobiographical film since 1982, the story of a young Minneapolis musician called The Kid. I'm fighting for his music and his sanity. He recorded over 36 songs during the sessions. He also wrote and produced full albums for 2 other groups at the same time. The title track itself was recorded live on August 3rd, 1983, at a fundraiser in Minneapolis. It was the first time the band had ever played that song on stage. First time. And it was perfect. Purple Rain was released June 25th, 1984. In August, Prince became the first artist since Elvis and the Beatles to simultaneously hold the #1 movie, album, and single in America. The album spent 24 straight weeks at #1. Over 25 million copies sold worldwide. All because a man was angry he lost a Grammy. Album number 5, Michael Jackson, Thriller, 1982. By 1979, Michael Jackson had already made one of the greatest pop albums ever recorded. Off the Wall was a masterpiece. 4 top 10 singles from a single solo album, a first in music history. But when the Grammys came, he got 1 nomination, in a minor category, 1. He told his manager those exact words, "I want to make an album they cannot ignore." He reunited with producer Quincy Jones. Recording began April 14th, 1982. Budget, $750,000. 62 musicians, 22 singers. Michael didn't write his songs on paper. He hummed them into a voice recorder and performed them from memory in the booth. The songs lived entirely in his head. Billie Jean came from a personal place, a fictional story about a woman claiming paternity, a denial, a warning. Quincy Jones actually wanted to cut it from the album, thought the bridge was too long. Michael refused. He fought for the song. And when the video aired on MTV, the same network quietly excluding black artists, it became the first video by a black artist to receive heavy rotation on the channel. Overnight, the walls came down. Thriller was released November 29th, 1982. It hit number 1 on February 26th, 1983, and stayed there for 37 non-consecutive weeks. At its peak, 1 million copies sold per week. At the 1984 Grammys, the same stage where he was once overlooked, Michael Jackson won 7 awards in a single night. Including Album of the Year. Thriller remains the best-selling album in the history of recorded music. Over 70 million copies. The boy who vowed to make an album they couldn't ignore made one they'll never forget. Album number 4, Michael Jackson, Off the Wall, 1979. Before Thriller, there was Off the Wall, and the real ones will tell you this is the better album. 1978. Michael Jackson is 20 years old, still known to the world as the spin dancing kid from the Jackson 5. Talented, yes, but boxed in, limited, waiting for someone to see what he could really become. He's cast as the Scarecrow in a film called The Wiz. The movie flops, but on that set, Michael notices the musical director, jazz legend Quincy Jones. He pulls him aside and asks, "Who should produce my next album?" Quincy looks at him and says, "I should." Epic Records pushed back. Quincy was old school, they said, a jazz man. Michael and Quincy went ahead anyway. The opening track, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, was written entirely by Michael. The melody came to him walking through his own kitchen. He demoed it with his brother Randy tapping rhythms on glass bottles. And that energy, that spontaneous kitchen table joy, stayed in the final recording.
Don't stop till you get enough.
Engineer Bruce Swedian built the album using a technique he called the acusonic recording process, syncing multiple 24-track tape machines together to create a warmth and depth that sounded truly alive. Off the Wall became the first solo album in history to generate 4 top 10 Billboard singles. It sold 20 million copies. Critics called it the invention of modern pop. Then Grammy season came, and Michael received one nomination in a minor category. One. The rage that followed became Thriller. But don't let Thriller make you sleep on Off the Wall. The Weeknd has said publicly this album, this specific song, is where he found his falsetto, where he learned how to sing. Album number 3, Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston, 1985. 1977. A woman named Linda Creed is dying of breast cancer. She's 29 years old, 2 weeks after her mastectomy, still recovering. She sits down and writes the lyrics to a song called Greatest Love of All. George Benson records it that year. It charts. But Creed always felt it hadn't been sung the way she heard it in her head. 8 years pass. A 21-year-old gospel singer from Newark, New Jersey, walks into a New York City jazz club to back up her mother. Clive Davis, CEO of Arista Records, is in the room. When he hears her sing, it's over. He signs her that night. Her name, Whitney Houston. Putting the debut album together took a year and a half. Rock and dance music owned the charts. Producers told Davis that Whitney's gospel voice was too churchy for pop radio. One song, How Will I Know, was originally written for Janet Jackson. Janet passed. Janet's loss. But the album dropped Valentine's Day, 1985. It debuted at number 166. Then, slowly, it began to climb. 3 consecutive #1 singles. A feat no debut album by a female artist had ever achieved before. Whitney won her first Grammy for Saving All My Love for You. And when she performed Greatest Love of All at the 1987 Grammys, the whole room went silent. Linda Creed got to hear Whitney's version multiple times before the end. Like her husband later confirmed, she finally heard the song the way she always imagined it. Linda Creed passed away April 10th, 1986, just as Whitney's version was entering the top 40. This album has sold over 25 million copies worldwide. At its heart, a dying woman's song, finally sung the way she always heard it. Album number 2, Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, 1971. 1970. Marvin Gaye is broken. His duet partner and close friend, Tammy Terrell, has just died from a brain tumor at 24.
Brother.
She collapsed in Marvin's arms on stage in 1967. He watched her fight for 3 years. Then she was gone. His brother Frankie has just returned from Vietnam, and he is not okay. He tells Marvin stories, horror stories.
We don't need to escalate.
And Marvin Gaye, Motown's #1 male artist, calls Berry Gordy and says, I want to record a protest record.
Take it south, honey.
Gordy, on vacation, doesn't blink. Don't be ridiculous. That's taking things too far.
Take it lights.
But the seed of the song had been planted elsewhere. A member of the Four Tops named Obie Benson witnessed police attacking anti-war protesters at Berkeley's People's Park in 1969.
Oh, what's going on?
He wrote a song about it. The Four Tops passed. Joan Baez passed. And then it landed in Marvin's hands, and Marvin made it his own.
Woo!
Benson later said, "We measured him for the suit, he just tailored the hell out of it." Marvin booked studio time and paid himself. He brought in the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. He even brought in 2 Detroit Lions football players to provide crowd chatter at the top of the track, because he wanted it to feel like a real street corner.
Everybody thinks we're wrong, they do.
The session bassist couldn't nail the part, so they found the legendary James Jamerson at a club, on Barely Standing. According to multiple accounts, Jamerson lay flat on his back on the studio floor and played the bass line in one take.
Pick it nice. Pick it.
Berry Gordy heard it, called it the worst record I've ever heard in my life, refused to release it.
Signs. People don't punish me.
Marvin went on a recording strike. While Gordy was still on vacation, someone slipped the single out. 100,000 copies in 1 week.
All right.
In 2020, Rolling Stone asked musicians, not critics, to rank the 500 greatest albums of all time.
What's going on? Wanna know what's going on?
What's Going On hit number 1, replacing the Beatles. The album Berry Gordy called the worst thing he'd ever heard is now officially the greatest album ever recorded. Album number 1, Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life, 1976. 1975, Stevie Wonder, the greatest musician alive, is about to quit. 3 consecutive Grammy wins for Album of the Year, the most commercially successful, most critically acclaimed artist on the planet. And he wants to move to Ghana, to help disabled children, to leave all of this behind.
Y'all understand.
Berry Gordy hears this and makes Stevie the largest recording deal in music history at that time. $37 million, full artistic control. But no interference. Stevie Wonder signs, then disappears into the studio for 3 years. He works across 4 studios on 2 coasts, records over 200 songs, plays nearly every instrument himself, programs his own sounds on a $50,000 Yamaha GX1 synthesizer, 3 keyboards, foot pedals, pushing electronic music into territory nobody had explored. His engineers wait so long for the album to be finished that they have t-shirts made that say, "We're almost finished." Stevie wears one to Motown headquarters just to mess with the executives. The original release date was Halloween 1975. It became 1976, then late 1976. One track, Contusion, was remixed at least 30 times. Then Stevie calls his bassist Nathan Watts at 3 in the morning after the Motown Company picnic. No, he just wrote a new song, I Wish, flooded with nostalgia from the evening. I need you to come back. I've got this bad song. Watts came back. It became the lead single when Songs in the Key of Life dropped September 28, 1976. It debuted at number 1. Only the 3rd album in history to open at the top spot. It stayed there 14 weeks, longer than any Motown album before or since. At the 1977 Grammys, Stevie was on tour. They set up a satellite link, poor video, barely working audio. He won 4 Grammys, including Album of the Year. Host Andy Williams looked into the camera and asked, "Stevie, can you see us?" Stevie Wonder, blind since birth, smiled. Bob Dylan put it simply when inducting Stevie into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If anybody can be called a genius, Stevie Wonder can. The man who almost walked away made the greatest R&B album of all time.
Music is a word.